Welcome to Brewers Daily. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on a Monday on the show. And if you enjoy it, feel free to subscribe to Brewers Daily here. Get notified every single time a new episode drops. And follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. We got some big news in the NL Central and some World Baseball Classic news. But in the division here, Eugenio Suarez is going back to Cincinnati. He started his career there, and he's bounced around since. But Suarez is now going back home, going to Cincinnati on a 1-year, $15 million deal. I mean, this was a player who was one of the most highly sought-after guys at the trade deadline with just the numbers that he was putting up. He ends up going to Seattle. Really kind of struggled over there in the regular season. Had some moments in the playoff run there for Seattle, but then hits the free agent market, and he's out there for quite a while and ends up just settling for a 1-year deal with a mutual option for next year, which mutual options get declined almost every single time. It has been a long, long time since we've seen a mutual option picked up. So it's a 1-year pillow kind of contract for Eugenio Suarez, who is coming off a season in which he hit 49 home runs, in which he was one of the most prolific sluggers in the entire league at the time. I mean, what he was doing was just absolutely stupid, numbers-wise. And for him to settle for this kind of contract, it's quite something, really, to kind of see where the market is for him. But it also says a lot about the rest of his game as a player, because yes, he can hit home runs, we know that, but the rest of his game is where things really struggle. But he's a big time name, and he's a big time power bat, which has led many to believe that this is something that the Brewers should have done. Now, back at the trade deadline last year, a lot of people were pining for Eugenio Suarez. He plays third base. Third base was kind of a need for the Brewers. Power was a need. He certainly brought that. There were some even saying to sell the farm for Eugenio Suarez. I mean, trade Jesus Made, trade Cooper Pratt, trade whoever it is from this farm system in order to get this guy, because he's the one that can put this team over the top. So, and now that he's signed, many are asking, did the Brewers miss out on this? Because this is, I mean, a 1-year deal, a short-term deal like this, is something that's much more palatable for a small market team like Milwaukee or Cincinnati, for that matter. Even though Cincinnati does have that prior history, that prior relationship with him. Eugenio Suarez, they're planning on playing him at DH over there in Cincinnati. Okay, Suarez is getting paid $15 million to not play the field, to just be a DH. Now, when you look at the Brewers roster, they already have a guy playing DH that they're paying $26 million a season. Okay, they've still got Christian Yelich for another couple of years here, and Yelich is basically a DH only at this point. Yes, he can still play outfield, but they generally don't prefer to put him out there that much, especially with the back issues that he's had. Even though surgery has cleared that up, they're still playing it careful with him. So you already have a $26 million DH. Why would they go out and get a $15 million DH to go along with him? There's only one DH spot that they can put out there. They're not sitting Yelich, that's for damn sure. I can guarantee you that much. And they're not going to put Eugenio Suarez in the field, because guess what? Suarez is terrible in the field. He's absolutely terrible. Defensively, Eugenio Suarez is a liability. And what is the Brewers' main point of emphasis out there? Defense. Okay, they win with defense, run prevention, pitching. That is what they focus on. That is their MO. That is how they win games. Sacrificing a ton of defense for offense, whatever it is that Suarez brings, even though, yes, you look at the home run totals, 49 home runs. Yes, that's fantastic. He also hit .228, and he also struck out 30% of the time. He had a on-base percentage below 300. So you can look at the home run totals all you want, and that's great. But the rest of his game is not so well-rounded, which is why he had to settle for a 1-year, $15 million contract. And it's why the Brewers would not really be interested in Eugenio Suarez. It's like, oh yeah, move Caleb Durbin to short, and you'll take a hit defensively, but the offensive boost would be great. The Brewers are not going to take that kind of a hit defensively. They just simply will not do it. Eugenio Suarez was worth -6 outs above average last year. That's 9th percentile in the entire league. He is not a good defender at all at third base or at first base, so he would need to be a DH, and you already have DH covered with someone who's way more expensive. And someone who, honestly, is a more well-rounded hitter. I know Yelich is not going to hit 49 home runs a season anymore. He came damn close to 30 last year, and he was an incredibly productive bat for you, being able to play just about every single day, not having the back issues that he has had in the past. But, Yelich, even though he's not hitting 50 homers, hit nearly 30, hit 264, so much higher average, provided the stolen bases, provided, getting on base a whole lot more, and striking out a lot less as well, and still 100 plus RBIs. So, I just don't see why so many think that Eugenio Suarez would have been that guy for the Brewers. He just does not fit their type of player that they like to look for. And even with, wanting more power, with what the fit is on the roster, what he brings defensively, it just did not seem to make any sense at all to see Suarez in a Brewers uniform. We all get caught up in the 49 home runs in a season, and as great as that is, there's so much more to being a baseball player, especially a player on this Brewers team, and how they win games than just hitting home runs. So it never made sense to me, and that's why the Brewers really didn't seem involved in Suarez's market at all. They weren't really as involved as I think a lot of the media thought that they were in July last year. I don't think they were really that heavily involved in Suarez's market. They may have poked around it, but they really didn't seem all that interested in getting him then. So to see them not get him now, also not surprising to me. And I'm not upset about it. I'm really not. He is going to be a DH. That is it. You've already got one. With your roster construction, what the team needs, it did not fit. It did not make sense for this roster for the Brewers to go out and get someone like Suarez. So it's going to suck to see him in the division now, because the Reds have proven themselves that they've taken a little bit of a step forward here. They finally reached the playoffs last season, although they got housed by the Dodgers immediately. The Brewers did too, but still, the Reds are a young up and coming team, so it is going to suck to see him a little bit more often now. But other than that, it's not something that the Brewers really missed out on. It's like, oh, they should have gotten that guy. That's not how I view this at all for this group. He did not seem to make sense. The player profile, I know everyone wants power, but you got to be able to play defense to be on this team. That is just how that is how they have won games. That's how they won 97 games last year. That's how they've won 3 straight division titles. That is how they're going to continue to win. You have to be strong defensively. If you're not going to play. And you only have that one DH spot, it's occupied. Okay? And they're not moving Yelich out. They're not taking him out of the lineup at all. Yelich is a far more complete hitter than Suarez. Won't hit 50 home runs, but he's a far more complete hitter. So it does not surprise me at all. Moving on, World Baseball Classic is getting closer and closer, and we're starting to see some more names get added to these rosters as they're getting finalized here. And we know that Joey Ortiz is going to be playing for Team Mexico in the World Baseball Classic this year. So congratulations to the Brewers shortstop, Joey O, being able to get a spot there for Team Mexico. So excited for that. And that's going to be in the United States' pool here. So Pool B in the World Baseball Classic is the United States, Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, and Brazil. So that should be a fun pool there. And we haven't seen it yet, but I would imagine Sal Frelick is going to be playing for Team Italy. He did before in the last World Baseball Classic, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did that again. I remember back during the winter meetings, Pat Murphy told us that apparently Great Britain was trying to get Caleb Durbin for their roster. I don't know how. Caleb Durbin was born in Illinois. His parents were American. I don't know really what connection he has to Great Britain. but they were trying to get him to play. I don't know if he's agreed to it. I don't know if he's going to. We haven't seen that announced yet, but still, that's a possibility, and he could be in that group there with the United States. Bryce Terang, we know, is going to be on Team USA as an infielder for them, so very excited for that. But yeah, Joey Ortiz is going to be in that pool as well, playing against Terang for Team Mexico. So very excited for that. There's also been some drama with the WBC over the past couple of days, with a lot of the players from Puerto Rico specifically not being able to get insurance to play in the World Baseball Classic. So for all these guys, I mean, they got their multi-million-dollar contracts, all these star players, and teams don't necessarily want them getting hurt during the World Baseball Classic, not playing for their actual team. So they got to get insurance to cover them in case they have injuries. They'll be able to compensate for the lost, salary, for the lost wage, like for teams having to pay a guy $20 million, all of a sudden for him to not play because he got hurt playing in the WBC, it kind of helps cover those expenses. So you got to get that insurance in order to be able to play. And a lot of the players from Puerto Rico have had trouble getting it, just with how they've got the rules set up. So Puerto Rico's potentially considering withdrawing from the WBC just because they've lost so many of their players because they just could not get insurance, because they either have high injury risks from injuries in the past, or age, whatever it is. So that's potentially throwing a wrench into things in how things could work out. But still, Joey Ortiz is going to be there for Team Mexico. And then also we saw this announced too back on Friday afternoon after the Friday show was already posted. But Jackson Chourio is going to be playing for Team Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic. So very excited for that. That's not really a surprise either. I mean, Jackson Chourio is one of the best young players in the major leagues. So to see him play for Venezuela, not a shock at all. Wondering if William Contreras is going to be announced as a player for them. Now, I think in a typical year he probably would have, but also keep in mind, William Contreras had surgery this offseason to address the broken bone in his middle finger. I'm not going to show you just the middle finger. I don't want to do that to you. But still, he had the broken bone in his finger, had surgery to repair it, so he's kind of been, slowly progressing there through the offseason, not doing quite as much work, and just kind of now recently getting back into catching bullpens and making sure everything's going good. So because he's taking a little bit of a slow play, because he's recovering from offseason surgery, maybe he doesn't play in the World Baseball Classic this year, which honestly, it would not be the worst thing in the world to not have William Contreras play in that, because that finger, having the surgery is great, yes, but you also need that rest, and having all those extra bullpens and games, catching the WBC. I'd like to see William Contreras have fresh legs as we get into September and October this year. So because you're not going to take him off the field. Once you get into the actual regular season, you can't take him out of there. He's not going to be willing to be taken out of the lineup. So to not have him play there, it could give him a little bit more, fresh legs and keep him a little bit more rested as we go throughout the rest of the regular season. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. But Jackson Chourio, he is going to be playing there for Team Venezuela. So very excited for that. And Venezuela, they are in Pool D in the World Baseball Classic, which is playing in Miami. So Venezuela is in their pool with the Dominican Republic, so that's going to be two powerhouses there. Nicaragua, the Netherlands, and Israel are Pool D there. Those games being played in Miami. And United States in Pool B there. Those games are being played in Houston. So that will be a lot of fun there to see those games unfold. Just love the World Baseball Classic. It is simply so great to see. It's kind of tough with the timing, before the season. Pitchers trying to get ramped up, all the insurance, everything that guys got to do. But still, it is just a sight to behold. Guys playing for their country. It's a lot of fun. So very excited to see how it ends up playing out and see ultimately how many Brewers end up on these rosters. We know of a couple so far. Obviously, Chourio and Joey O just getting added. Bryce Terang in that group as well. So we'll see how many more get added as these rosters kind of officially go here, because we're into February. This is, we will have baseball this month. We have pitchers and catchers reporting. We will have Cactus League games getting started, and we are finally going to be getting back to baseball. So very, very excited for that. And as we lead into baseball getting back in our lives, we'll be here every day on Brewers Daily. So be sure to subscribe, get notified every single time a new episode drops. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode of Brewers Daily.